Remy. I am a special needs coach and I love working with children. Children might find it difficult to learn in the classroom, and some children may not. But not all children who have problems in learning actually have a particular problem they are facing. But some children might have certain things that can affect their learning. And so we're going to look into the easy strategies to help children learn better. Once again, my name is Taiwo Adeyanju Oparemi. So before we start, we're going to define what learning is. Learning is the acquisition of knowledge or skills through study, experience, or being taught. Why do children learn? Children are supposed to learn because they find themselves in an environment where they need to understand what goes on in the environment, need to learn to be able to become global citizens, and be able to do certain things that has to do with reasoning and capacity building. But some children will not learn, even if they find themselves in an environment that has to do with learning, especially in the regular classroom setting. But not all those children have special needs or have a particular issue that is affecting them. And so we are going to look at how children learn, the easy strategies to help children to learn. Why don't children learn? And so one of the key factors is the environment the child finds himself. The environment plays a major role in the way a child is going to learn. An enabling environment helps a child to learn better. Whether the environment has good lighting, whether the environment has good structure, playway environment with enough instructional materials, environment that helps the child feel relaxed, environment such as environments where the teacher is so much into the children and makes learning child-centered. An environment that a child is not scared also plays a major role. The presence of a stimulus in an environment is what I'm talking about. This child here is a stimulus, and the environment plays a major role in how much the child can learn from the environment. Another aspect or factor that affects a child's learning is the child himself or herself. That is the innate disposition, like emotional or instinctual disposition of the child. Some children are not just ready to learn. They are not even ready. This is not the time to learn. And they just feel, oh, I'm in this environment because I just want to enjoy myself. I'm just beginning to understand that I'm in a school. So you need to be able to differentiate between the child who is ready in the environment and the child who is not ready. I'm not saying don't teach because the child is not ready. I'm just saying understanding what exactly is the cause, because when you understand the cause, it is easier for you to start making steps to improve the child's learning or strategies that can help the child to enjoy the learning you are teaching this child. And so we're also going to move from here and talk about different types of learning. We have motor learning, that is the activities we do day to day. We have verbal learning, that is our language, the signs, gestures we give, and the concept of learning. High order thinking, cognitive processes, intelligence thinking, and reasoning. Some children take longer to learn than the other children. Some children take longer to learn because some children are not ready, like what I mentioned earlier, the willingness, the environment, which plays a major role. Then the motivation given to this child. Some children are not motivated well. Is this child learning at his or her own pace? Are you giving the child so much that is too much for their age or intellectual ability? Is this child IQ okay to take in most of those things you're taking them? And so for these curriculums you have everywhere, curriculums that don't suit the child's learning or the age of that child, which is not appropriate for the age of that child, will affect the child's learning. Limiting the child to learning only in the environment. Some teachers limit their scope or whatever they are taking only in the environment. You can easily go out there, take some materials from the environment and teach the child. It makes learning much more easier for this kind of child. Another factor can be the education of the parents. Some parents are not actually so educated and so might not be able to put their children through the learning strategies or ability to help the child to learn, such as homework, assisting the child in the homework. Another thing is the quality of childcare. Childcare is quite important if you really want a child to learn. Some children have good IQ, but they don't have a good childcare. Examples are children who live under hostile environments or probably live with people who are not their parents who maltreat them, or parents who don't see to the care of their child, who don't take every details important. And so such can affect a child's learning. Then exposure to stress. When a child is stressed rather, the child would have problem in their learning, because as at the time you want to teach them, the child is already tired. The child wants to rest. The child wants to sleep. And so you can't blame a child who is not ready. No. Another aspect is fear of failure. Some children are scared to the point that they would rather fail, because not because they don't know that thing, but because they don't have the confidence to be able to say, yes, I can do this, and this is the way I can do it. A child should learn to enjoy failure and realize that when you fail, you can always succeed after. And I think this also boils down to some adults, because they are not trained well to understand that failure is still part of our process, or the processes one will take in one's life. And so it's important that one fails, because when you don't fail, you don't understand the importance of success. Okay, what are the strategies we can use as parents to be able? So many strategies can be employed for a child to learn. As a parent, one of the strategies is to ensure that you sit down with this child and ask the child questions. Yes, the more you are closer to the child, the more the child is confident in talking to you. The child is able to express him or herself. Maybe they are having difficulties in the environment they find themselves, or probably there's a bully, a child is bullying them in the classroom, or probably there's something they are not getting, or probably the way the teacher is explaining is not clear. The child is able to learn when the parents sit down with them and confide in them. Yes. Another strategy is to identify what exactly the problem is. Is this child having problem in spellings? Is this child having problem in reading? Is it in writing? And how can I help this child? So this is really important here. Identify what the problem is. If the problems are problems you cannot handle, walk up to the school. If the school can handle it, tell them, even if it means taking extra classes, please let it be identified and work hand in hand with the school. And if you probably need to visit a specialist, probably like a psychologist, or probably like a special needs teacher or coach, or probably a medical doctor, if there is a need for that, try to seek for help. This will go a long way. Another thing is do an IQ test. Once you identify that there's a problem, and probably the child's IQ is not up to the age of the child, it's important that you check what the IQ is and be able to plan activities that suit what the IQ of the child can take. It's not every child that will go at the same pace. So you go at the pace this child can go. Meet with professionals. It's important, especially if you have seen that this has to do with an IQ thing. Be involved in the child's academic life. Be involved. Visit the school. Support the child for homework. Some parents just neglect their children, allow the children do the homework on their own. If you cannot do it yourself, get a teacher to do it. Create an effective study environment. Make sure that the environment is suitable for this child to come back home, sit on the table, and well relaxed to learn. Good food for the brain should also be introduced, such as nuts, protein, balanced diet for the child's brain to develop well. Sometimes some children have learning difficulties because of the kind of food their parents expose them to. Let your child sleep well. Sleeping is really important. A child should be allowed to sleep well to rest their brain. Teach organization skills to this child to be able to arrange their things. Teach study skills. Develop an attitude of reading in the presence of the child, and tell the child to also learn to read. Focus on the child's interest and develop it. Learning style of the child should also be put into consideration before you start teaching every child how to read or write. The learning style can be kinesthetic. You can watch my next video to look at the different types of learning styles.